Good day to you all, comrades and friends. This is Global Weekly News, serial number 36. First, let us see in detail Ukraine War. 24th February is the first anniversary of Ukraine War. No trace of ending the war. Millions of people in both Russia and Ukraine are affected by the war. Due to Ukraine war, many economic problems have cropped up all over the world. Many are concerned about this war escalating to nuclear war. Within a short period of the start of the war, Russian and Ukrainian delegates attempted to find a solution through a negotiated settlement. Many rounds of talks were held in Belarus and Turkey. The then UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson visited Ukraine capital Kyiv in April 2022. The war started 24th February. In April, Boris Johnson came to Kyiv of Ukraine. Boris Johnson met Zelensky, Ukrainian president, and advised him to stop the talks with Russia. Johnson promised him financial and arms and weapons aid to Ukraine. He advised Zelensky to defeat Putin. A few days after Zelensky stopped the peace talks, he started in a tone similar to Western leaders. Zelensky, after the war in December 2022, he went to US. That is, after the war, his first foreign visit was to United States. He visited United States in December 2022 and addressed the US Congress, the US Parliament. There he told that he will not stop the war till Russia is defeated and democracy restored in the world. Ukraine's foreign minister Dmytro Kuleba proposed a peace conference under UN leadership, but he put forward certain conditions also. They are: Russia shall face a tribunal for its war crimes and shall pay reparation, that is compensation, to victims' families. Russia was ready for talks, but said these conditions are illusory. Ukraine joining NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the military alliance of the Western countries, is against the Minsk Agreement. Belarus, capital is Minsk. In Minsk city of Belarus, Minsk first agreement was signed between Russia and Ukraine in 2014. As per this agreement, there will be ceasefire in Donbas and Luhansk region of Ukraine. In the eastern part of Ukraine, in the Donbas region, Russian-speaking people are the majority. So there are conflicts were going on between the Russian armed groups and Ukrainian troops. As per the Minsk agreement, ceasefire should have been effected, but the ceasefire did not come into effect. In February 2015, Minsk II agreement was signed. As per this, Ukraine shall amend its constitution to give autonomy to Donbas region and release prisoners of war shall be released. The Western countries did not insist upon Ukraine to implement Minsk agreements till 2021 end. Upon the provocation by Western countries, the extreme right groups killed thousands of Russian-speaking people in Donbas region of Ukraine. NATO took steps to place modern, sophisticated anti-rocket system near the western borders of Russia. From 24th February, the start of the war, United States and European Union were firm on continuing the war in Ukraine. Russia has been insisting that Ukraine shall not become a member of NATO. If Ukraine becomes a NATO member, NATO forces will be placed near the Russia's border, threatening Russia's security. Some NATO countries supported the Ukraine joining NATO. NATO began its action of admitting Sweden and Finland in NATO. United States, European Union of 27 countries and other NATO countries are supporting or supplying arms and ammunition worth billions of dollars to Ukraine. War tanks are also sent to Ukraine. Now talks are going on for the supply of war planes to Ukraine. US alone has sent the maximum amount of weapons and ammunition worth 10,000 crore dollars, or in rupee terms 8.2 lakh crores to Ukraine so far. This is the highest. Unconfirmed reports say that even volunteers from US and its allies were sent to Ukraine. US exploded Nord Stream pipelines. This is undersea pipelines bringing gas from Russia to Germany. In September 2022, US did this, the worst action. Intention of United States is to prevent Russia-European trade relations. United Nations is not able to bring peace to Ukraine. US and European Union has imposed sanctions on Russia and Russians. Undeclared campaign is going on for boycott of Russia in the fields of sports, culture and media as well. In the beginning of February, US President Joe Biden visited Kyiv, capital of Ukraine, and met Zelensky and discussed for 4 hours. Then he gave a speech in Poland, and that Poland's speech exposed that Ukraine war is a proxy war of US. Biden spoke that Ukraine war is a test for Europe, NATO and United States. Biden appreciated Sweden, Finland, the 2 new European countries joining NATO. The foreign ministers of G7 countries, Group 7 countries, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Great Britain and United States, and high-level representatives of European Union met in the security conference at Munich on 21st February. The foreign minister of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba, also took part in this conference. This conference condemned Russia and decided to extend all aid to Ukraine. Comrades and friends, let us see what China has offered as a solution to the Ukrainian crisis. Negotiations are the only solution for Ukraine crisis, China. On 24th February, the first anniversary of Ukraine war, Socialist China proposed a 12-point peace plan. Ukraine and Russia shall immediately begin direct talks. World community shall not provoke war. Sovereignty of all countries, independence and territorial integrity shall be ensured. All the countries shall follow United Nations Charter and other international laws. There shall not be double standards. Right approach towards promoting peace shall be followed. Well, these are all the points, some of the points in China's peace plan. Hinting that NATO's expansionist policy was one of the reasons for the beginning of the war, China asked the West to abandon its Cold War mentality of expanding military blocs and seeking security at the cost of others. China has voiced its opposition to the West, namely the US, the European Union and other NATO members, providing weapons to Ukraine, claiming that such acts would only prolong the war and would not help in achieving peace in the region. During the UN General Assembly, UNGA, United Nations General Assembly vote on the Russia-Ukraine war on 23rd February, China reiterated this point, claiming that weapons supplied to Ukraine would only accelerate tensions. The UN General Assembly adopted a resolution asking Russia to withdraw its forces from Ukraine by a vote of 141 votes in favor of the resolution and 7 against the resolution, including Russia. And China, India, etc., 32 countries absented themselves from voting. China opposes all nuclear escalations. China also criticized all unilateral sanctions imposed by the United States and European Union and Russia, saying that such acts cannot solve the issue and only create new problems. China opposes all attempts to use the world economy as a tool or weapon for political purposes. China made an appeal to the world community to ensure that humanitarian operations were not politicized and instead followed the principle of neutrality and impartiality. China also expressed its willingness to participate in post war reconstruction efforts in Ukraine. In 2000s, India took a pro-US stand against Iran. Now on Ukraine war, India's abstention from UN voting is good. Mexico, Indonesia, South Africa, populous countries also did not take a pro-US stand in UN General Assembly. So now the world is becoming a multipolar world. In Munich conference of G7 countries, it was decided to continue the agreement on wheat exports from Ukraine through the Black Sea. China says that war shall not disrupt global supply. Comrades and friends, let us go to Afghanistan and see the pathetic situation of the people out there. In August 2021, Taliban captured power in Afghanistan. Taliban follow Muslim fundamental ideologies, particularly education to women going to work, etc., are not allowed. Before Taliban, US military was in control of Afghanistan for 20 years. They did not do anything for the economic development of Afghanistan, and therefore now the economic situation in Afghanistan is very bad. More than 90% of people are in poverty. The income of 4 out of 5 families has gone down substantially. 2.8 crore out of 4 crore people are dependent on foreign aid. There is a currency shortage. Supply of basic foods has gone down. No money to make payments to employees. Economy of Afghanistan depends on foreign aid. $700 crore Afghan currency are freezed in United States banks. Iran faced such a similar situation in the past. On 11th September 2001, this is 9/11 attacks I am referring to. On 11th September 2001, Islamic extremist Al-Qaeda's 19 terrorists hijacked 4 commercial planes. 2 planes crashed on Twin Towers of World Trade Center in New York City. Third plane attacked US Army headquarters, the Pentagon. The fourth plane crashed in the fields due to resistance of the passengers. These attacks killed nearly 3,000 people. US government wants to use half the Afghanistan currency deposits, $350 crore. In rupee terms, 28,700 crore rupees of Afghanistan, American government wants to use for compensation to the families of victims of 9/11 attacks. How can Afghan government and Afghan people be held responsible for 9/11 attacks? Has US paid any compensation for its dropping of atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in the past? Bhopal people affected by toxic fumes due to leakage of poisonous gas from Union Carbide factory are yet to get due compensation even after a few decades. This is a US multinational company. The Southern District Judge of New York, George Daniels, stated that federal courts lack the jurisdiction to seize funds from Afghanistan's central bank. The Taliban, not the former Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, or the Afghan people. The Taliban must pay for the Taliban's liability in the 9/11 attacks, said the ruling of the judge. Comrades and friends, we go to Mexico, Latin American country, just south of America. The so-called war against drug trafficking began in 2006 in Mexico. This war has cost more than 3 lakhs disappeared, more than 3 lakhs killed. in the last few years. Vicente Fox was the president of Mexico from 2000 to 2006. Felipe Calderon was the president of Mexico from 2006 to 2012. Mexico's former Secretary of Public Security and ex-director of the Federal Investigative Agency, Genaro Garcia Luna, was found guilty by a jury in U.S. federal court on 21st February of taking millions of dollars in bribes from drug cartels he had sworn to fight. Lopez Obrador, the left president of Mexico, has welcomed the verdict. He said the former two presidents must also be investigated for their illegal connections with the drug cartels. Genaro Garcia Luna will get minimum 20 years imprisonment. Comrades, let us see the atrocities of Israel. Murders continue. At least 10 Palestinians killed in Israeli raid on Nablus in occupied West Bank on 22nd February. Israeli forces invaded the city on 22nd February morning and proceeded to lay siege to a building housing two Palestinian young resistance fighters. While Palestinian armed groups resisted the raid, Israeli forces injured over 100 people using live bullets and tear gas. 6 people have been hospitalized in a very critical condition. 2 journalists were also among those injured. General strikes were called in Nablus and Ramallah on 22nd February in response to the attack. Israeli occupation forces surrounded a house where 2 Palestinian resistance fighters stayed. The 2 young men refused to surrender and were killed. An alleged recording of one of the youth was shared on social media in which he was heard saying, "We won't hand over our weapons. I will die as a martyr. Keep carrying weapons after us." The Palestinian Red Crescent reported that its ambulances and medics were not allowed to reach the area in the aftermath of the raid. This attack comes just weeks after similarly deadly raids on Jenin and Jericho in the West Bank. Israeli forces have now killed at least 60 Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem since the start of 2023. 60 days are not yet over in 2023, but 60 Palestinians killed. Among them are 13 are children. Israel's extremist government, led by Benjamin Netanyahu, is overseeing a drastic escalation of violence against Palestinians, be it in prisons, through laws in the parliament, or direct attacks in the occupied territories and the Gaza Strip. Palestinians are fiercely resisting the violence of Israeli settler colonial apartheid regime by all means necessary, including strengthening armed resistance and coordinated campaign of civil disobedience. UN Security Council statement on 20th February expressing concern and dismay, that is worry, over Israel's announcement that the construction of new illegal settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories would continue, along with the legalization of its illegal outposts there. So Israel announced like that, something like 7,000 houses will be built in the occupied areas like that. The United Nations statement condemned all unilateral Israeli measures such as the establishment of illegal settlements, confiscation of Palestinians' land, legalization of settler outposts, demolition of Palestinian homes, and displacements of Palestinian civilians, calling them impediments to peace in the region. The statement was approved by all the 15 members of the United Nations Security Council as an alternative to a resolution prepared together by Palestinians and United Arab Emirates. That earlier resolution, however, was dropped, reportedly due to the pressure exerted by United States. The resolution, if passed, would have been legally binding. The presidential statement, though rare, has no legal worth and is largely symbolic. Chinese ambassador to United Nations called on Israel to cease demolition of houses and schools and lift the blockade of the Gaza Strip. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu criticized United Nations Security Council statement as one-sided, claiming that it should not have been made and US should not have signed on to it. What a wonderful figure, Benjamin, so right, extreme rightist. Lastly, we go to see the rail accidents in United States of America. Norfolk Southern is a multi-billion dollar private rail company in United States. Norfolk Southern often carries chemical cargo as freight trains are considered to be one of the safest methods of transporting hazardous substances. Apart from chemicals, the company often transports coal, metals, construction materials, products, agricultural supplies, and other commodities. In 2005, the company came under fire after a train crash in Graniteville resulted in a chlorine spill. The city of thousands of residents had to be evacuated after a cloud of toxic fumes covered Graniteville. The company's failure resulted in the death of 10 people and injuries to hundreds of people. This year, on 3rd February, 50 out of 100 train cars, that is, in one train itself, there are 100 cars, 100 coaches. This is a goods train, goods carrying coaches. There are 100 coaches in one train. 50 out of 100 train cars of this company got derailed in a place called East Palestine of Ohio. It is not Palestine, what we think. It is in America, East Palestine of Ohio. Just like there is one Salem in America, like that. On 6th February, Norfolk Southern performed a controlled release of toxic fumes being carried on the train in order to prevent an explosion. Since then, more reports have come in of inexplicably dead animals and symptoms of illness in local residents. Chicken died overnight. Norfolk Southern, the rail company that owned the derailed train, has come under increased scrutiny for cost cutting and safety and its reputation of negligence and greed for profits. Hundreds of Ohio residents packed into a high school gym on 15th February night as Ohio officials held a town hall meeting regarding the catastrophic train derailment. The officials of the rail company pulled out of the town hall meeting at the last minute, fearing violence, leaving residents unable to ask any questions of the company responsible for the disaster. Another Norfolk Southern train derailed in Detroit of Michigan on 16th February. 6 cars derailed, and one of them was carrying hazardous materials. Ohio authorities have said that 4 tributaries of the Ohio River are contaminated, leading to the death of more than 3,500 fish. Since the accident on 3rd February, Norfolk Southern has begun to offer $1,000 check to some affected individuals as inconvenience fee. We will all hear in the railway station whether if the train comes late, there will be an announcement. Sorry for your inconvenience, like that. So, inconvenience fee. However, an Ohio attorney has advised residents against taking the money. If you take this money, you cannot further proceed to get more compensation in case of more damages. Donald Trump, the previous president of America, tried to take advantage of the rail accidents and visited Ohio. What did Joe Biden do? Joe Biden did not visit Ohio. He went to Ukraine to escalate the war. People do not trust both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in the United States. This is all this week, comrade. Global Weekly News 35 ends. See you next week. Thank you. Lal Salam.